In the old villages of Malaya, before the roads came, before the lights came, mothers had a warning for their daughters. If you ever smell vinegar on the night air, close your windows. Do not ask why. Do not look up at the roof. Just close your windows and pray for morning. This is the story of the one time somebody looked. The year was 1934. The monsoon that season was the worst anyone could remember. Rain fell for weeks without stopping, and the rubber plantation that surrounded the village turned into a maze of black trees and standing water. It was into this rain that a young woman named Salma arrived, carrying everything she owned in a single cloth bag. Salma was a midwife. The village had sent for her because their old midwife, a woman who had delivered 3 generations of children, had died suddenly in her sleep. No sickness, no warning. The old woman had simply been found one morning, cold in her bed, with her window open to the rain. The village welcomed Salma kindly, but no one welcomed her more warmly than the widow who lived in the last house before the plantation. Her name was Mekyar. Mekyar was beautiful in a way that made people uneasy without knowing why. Her skin was smooth, her hair was always damp, as if she had just bathed, and she carried a smell with her, faint but constant. A sour smell, vinegar. When Salma asked about it, Mekyar only laughed. "I pickle mangoes," she said. "Jars and jars of them. Come, I will give you some." And she did. The pickles were delicious. Salma thought nothing more of it. The first baby died 3 weeks later. It was a healthy boy, born fat and loud, the kind of child midwives are proud of. Salma had delivered him herself. 10 days after the birth, the mother came running through the rain, screaming that her son would not wake. When Salma reached the house, the baby was grey and hollow, as if something had drained him from the inside. There was no wound, no fever, just a small red mark on his belly, no bigger than a coin. The village called it a wasting sickness. Salma wrote it down as one, but something bothered her, and it took her days to understand what it was. 2 nights before the baby died, Mekyar had visited her. She had brought pickles and tea and warm conversation, and somewhere in that conversation, gently, kindly, she had asked which house the newest baby slept in. Salma told herself it meant nothing. Neighbors ask about babies. That is what villages are. Then the second child died. And the day before it happened, Mekyar had asked about that house too. Salma began to watch her. She noticed things. Mekyar never came to the funerals. She was never seen after sunset, not once, not even at the lamp lighting when the whole village gathered. But she was always there at dawn, walking back from somewhere with her hair soaking wet, smiling, apologizing, saying she had risen early to bathe in the river. No one bathes in the river during monsoon. The river during monsoon can pull a buffalo under. The 3rd pregnancy in the village belonged to a girl of 17, due any day. And when Mekyar came to Salma's door with a jar of pickles and asked, so sweetly, whether the girl slept in the front room or the back, Salma heard her own voice answer before she could stop it. "The back room," she said, "under the big bean." It was a lie, and that night Salma went to the girl's house, sent the family to sleep elsewhere, and climbed into the space between the ceiling and the thatch roof. She lay flat on the beams in the dark, above the empty back room, and she waited. The rain stopped just after midnight. That was the strangest part, she said later. The rain simply stopped, all at once, as if the sky was holding its breath. Then she heard it, a soft, wet sound on the roof, like laundry being dragged across the thatch. The smell came next, vinegar, so strong her eyes watered, and then, through a gap in the thatch, not an arm's length from her face, something began to lower itself into the room below. Salma's mind refused it at first. She thought it was a rope, a thick, glistening rope, dark and slick, sliding down through the roof in slow coils. Then the rope pulsed, and she understood that she was looking at entrails, a stomach, lungs swelling and shrinking in the dark, all of it hanging from a throat, and above the throat, pushing through the thatch with its long wet hair spilling forward, was a head. It was Mekyar's face, but it was smiling in a way no face should be able to smile, and from between her teeth came a tongue, long and thin, tasting the air of the empty room, searching for the child that was not there. Salma did not scream. To this day, no one knows how she did not scream. She lay in the dark, breathing through her sleeve, while the head of her neighbor hung below her, dripping onto the sleeping mat. It searched for a long time. Then, slowly, the coils drew back up through the roof, and the wet dragging sound moved away across the thatch, and was gone. Most people would have run. Salma did something else. Because Salma was not from that village, but she was from that country, and her grandmother had told her stories. She knew what this thing was, and she knew its one rule. A creature like that does not leave its body behind by choice. It leaves it because it must, and before dawn, no matter what, the head must return, and the entrails must slide back into the empty body it left sitting at home. That is why the vinegar. It soaks its organs in vinegar to shrink them so they will fit back inside. The body would be in Mekyar's house, alone, waiting. Salma climbed down and walked through the sleeping village, past the last lamp, to the house at the edge of the plantation. The door was not locked. Why would it be? Inside, the house smelled like a wound. Jars lined every wall, dozens of them, and not one of them held mangoes. And in the middle of the floor, sitting upright on a mat, perfectly still, was Mekyar's body, headless, hands folded neatly in its lap, the stump of its neck open to the air like the mouth of a jar. Salma later said that the worst moment of her life was crossing that room, because as she stepped past it, the body's folded hands twitched. It knew she was there. It simply could not do anything about it. She worked quickly. From the kitchen she took broken glass. From the fence outside she cut thorn branches, the long ones, the kind that tear skin, and she packed them into the open neck, handful after handful, deep into the body, until it would hold no more. Then she stepped outside and waited for the sky to turn grey. The head came home with the dawn, flying low over the rubber trees, its entrails streaming behind it like the tail of a kite. The village woke to a sound none of them could ever describe properly. Some said it was like a kettle, some said it was like a pig. It went on and on, from inside that house, as the thing tried again and again to force itself back into a body full of glass and thorns, tearing itself apart with every attempt, while the sun kept rising, and its time kept running out. Then the sound stopped. When the villagers finally dared to enter, they found the body on the mat, ruined. But the head was gone. There was only a wet trail leading out the door, across the mud, and into the plantation. And high in one of the rubber trees, caught in the branches, they found something swollen and shapeless that no one agreed on and no one cut down. They burned the tree where it stood. Salma left the village that same year. But before she went, she taught every mother in the village the old warning, the one her grandmother had taught her. If you smell vinegar on the night air, close your windows, because it needed a body, and it never got its own back. They say that is why, in some villages, expecting mothers still sleep with thorns beneath the bed, not to kill the thing, to make sure that whatever crawls in through the window at night can never, ever get comfortable.